Sunday. Hope y'all are having a good time with family. And if you see that incredible background in the back, it is my book, Lessons from the Microphone. Candy Ebling is doing an incredible job working the graphics, and she's got an awful lot of things that she's working on behind the scenes. But meanwhile, we got 3/4 of the pundit crew here on the Professor and the Pupil. We'll be doing more and more of these episodes as my Sundays start to free up a little bit. But I want to welcome my teammates from Pundit, the Sniper, Denzel Snipes. Welcome to the Sunday version of the Big Show.
Yes, absolutely. The spinoff of Pundit, little early morning sports talk. I've had my coffee, not really, but I'm up and I'm here and I'm ready to get down to some talking. So let's go.
All right, and last but not least, and again, there's only three of us, so it's not hard to say last but not least, there's only three. Jacob Christopher.
Scott, I don't need the coffee. I'm already awake the minute I'm awake, and you never looked better than with the book in front of your face.
There you go.
That might cover up some of the gray hair that I have on there. I mean, what do they call me, Santa Claus? There's an awful lot of Santa Clauses sporting the same facial attire that I have. Just a little bit of an overview of Professor and People. We've done a few of these shows. I'm the Professor, and if I'd have known I had more pupils, I would have done it with an S, but we have the Professor and the Pupils. These guys here, Jacob and Denzel, like anything else, they always like to learn, and they're going to get an education today. But before we go a little further, I just want to let everybody know the Professor and the People is being broadcast around the world. The audio version of Professor and the People can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcast. Please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube, South Florida Tribune. We're striving for more subscribers. Please also comment, like, and share the broadcast. Want to be a guest? No problem. Be active in the chat room. One way to do it, or send your topic ideas, southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If you want to advertise cost efficiently, give me a call at 954-304-4941. We broadcast live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Other information will start shortly. Let me give you an overview of the topics. I'm going to leave this one open-ended for the crew about what sports they're paying attention to the most during the spring. And we're going to talk about an incident that took place outside of North Kansas City High School. Kyle Filipowski, we talked about court storming. We're going to give you an update on him. And Russell Westbrook of the LA Clippers had a very tough situation that unfortunately Tylenol will not take care of. With that said, okay, we're going to lead off with Jacob Christner. What sports are you paying attention to the most during the spring?
Oh, it's the draft. Oh, the draft, absolutely. The draft coming up and the combine, what we have right now. And it's like one of the things that I've seen with something like this is like yesterday, there were things I never paid attention to with the combine before that I saw. Like, for instance, the basically the fastball against the wall, the speed. Joe Milton, 62 miles an hour with a football. J.J. McCarthy, 61, which shocked me because he didn't have a lot of throws at Michigan. Didn't know he had that kind of missile. And then I noticed Sam Hartman from Notre Dame, 53 miles per hour, which is basically Nate Peterman.
Yeah.
But which is basically Nate Peterman. But, overall, that may not matter if it's a lot of checkdowns and stuff like that, too. So it is the kind of way. But overall, though, we also have a record 4-40. We have
Xavier Worthy.
Is it what?
Xavier Worthy, University
Worthy.
of Texas.
I was thinking Conley, but it was Xavier Worthy. We have that. We have that right there. We have one of the big things that we have with this combine is just the athletes get better and better and better and better, and they get crazy. And it's like, I remember when the Bears did get Trubisky. The one thing I had noticed, he had a 4.6740, and it's like he had a 4.6740, and by itself, there are a bunch of quarterbacks that beat that this year. I mean, that 4.67 is fast.
Yeah.
But we had a bunch of QBs beat that this year. And it's like, that's only been 7 years. I mean, just think of 2 years down the road, those get beat. And it's like, and the one thing before I say it with the 40, the one thing that's going to worry me is Spencer Rattler had a 4.92, which that's a little tough now because this is not a league where you can stay in the pocket anymore.
Rattler's not really a scrambler like that, though. He's more of a pocket QB, but can he scramble? Yeah, but 4.9 doesn't shock me. He's not really a speedy guy.
No, but it's like, but that's what I was saying is like 4.92 is kind of like the Tom Brady thing when you saw, and it took him 20 years to get 1,000 career yards. Can't kind of do that anymore, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You can't really do that anymore. So those are the things I paid attention to.
Okay, well, we'll segue over to Denzel. What are you paying attention to?
All right, and to Jacob's point, 4.6 is fast, and once upon a time, quarterbacks didn't run that. Hell, once upon a time, linebackers didn't run that, or even edge rushers, and now you got them putting up, 4.6, 4.7, which is crazy. To answer the question, I do pay attention to the draft as well. Nothing like seeing where everybody's going. But also, this is where I also zone in more on college basketball.
Right.
It's funny because, the beginning part, like from November to December, I might look at a game or two, but pretty much January leading into like the Super Bowl, okay, I'm looking at a little bit more. After Super Bowl week, I'm like zoned in. I'm like, okay, all right, who's doing what? Who's doing good? Who's ranked? What's the remaining schedule? Looking forward to the conference tournaments and then ultimately like
Right.
March Madness. So I zone in then. Then I also watch a little bit more hockey at the time period. I did watch the Stadium Series. I saw Islanders Rangers at MetLife. I wasn't at MetLife, but I watched it on TV, which was a hell of a game to those of y'all who did watch it.
Right.
Awesome comeback by the Rangers. And then, of course, the NBA. The NBA, I probably pay attention to more of the between college ball but right after February is funny because middle of the February it's like back-to-back weekends. You got the Super Bowl, and the next weekend typically you get NBA All-Star Weekend, right? And then right after that begins the second half of the NBA season. That's what I've been saying. Oh, and one more thing. Ever since
Well, I got news for you. You're gonna take all the choices away from everybody. I give you one, or you give you an inch, and you take a mile. But go ahead, give me the one more thing anyway.
I'm sorry. The one more thing is the UFL. Ever since the XFL and the USFL came back, spring football, I'm always up for more football. So I won't go too deep into it. I know you got some things to say, Scott, but I'm looking forward to
running out of
UFL
with
kickoff.
these two guys, man. I'm telling you, my pupils are taking it all away. No, good stuff. Just kidding. All right. Well, you know what? It's funny how you talk about college basketball, March Madness, and I'll tell you why. That's probably a lot more on my mind than any of them. I'm nestled here in Florida, and I'm covering the Florida Atlantic University Owls and the University of South Florida Bulls, and both are elite teams in the American Athletic Conference. I mean, the University of South Florida Bulls, my alma mater, just won their first league championship the other day, and FAU, everybody knows, went to the 2023 Final Four, and right now they're fighting for a spot in there. FAU is going to have a tough week ahead with North Texas at their place, and then Memphis will be coming to our place on Saturday, and I'll be there covering it for the South Florida Tribune. So, yeah, I'm really right in the middle of this since, I think it was January 28th is when I started. I went to North Texas game here locally at home, and then I went up to USF to see an incredible comeback attempt by FAU. I mean, USF had a 25-point lead, nearly ran FAU out of the building. Yeah, and as a result, FAU came back and only lost by 4. And then yesterday, FAU topped Tulane by 6. The other thing that I'm actually focusing on, I haven't done anything yet, but plan to in the next week or two, is spring training. But then again, in Florida and Arizona, what do you pay attention to? Spring training. Haven't done anything yet. Planning to do something real soon. But all of what you guys are saying, and I'm intrigued by the United Football League because of that merger as well. And, we all know the NFL draft and the combine are certainly all of the same pretty much. We're hoping that Sideline Sports and South Florida Tribune, we're planning to go to Detroit to cover the event as well. All right, let's go to the comments section. Candy Ebling has Caitlin Clark right now. It's pretty hard really not to pay attention.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, I will say this, though, about Caitlin Clark. I had an opportunity to talk to the Tulane guy, I believe. All right, I'm going off the top of my head. This is bad for me. But Candy, give me the name again here of our guy. It's Corey Gooley, I believe. And one thing about him, I talked about Pete Maravich is what I talked about, and that's where the Caitlin Clark came in, because obviously two superstar Louisiana players. Everybody know that Pete Maravich played his ball at LSU, and now all of a sudden Caitlin Clark has a chance to break that. Yeah, so Tulane broadcaster Corey is what he was, and if you want to find that entire interview, you'll find that on the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel. So a lot going on, and you guys certainly ran off a couple. But college basketball and spring training stand out. I believe that game is on at 1:00 Eastern time, isn't it? If I understand, Ohio State and
Iowa. Yes, I believe so. That's we at 1:00 y'all's time.
Right, Eastern time. So be a pretty good game. I don't watch a lot of ladies hoops, but this might be one of those games where it's too historical for me not to watch it.
I will be right here in tow, watching front and center. I got some leftover barbecue and some sodas. I'm gonna be right here catching up on some good.
You need that for 7 a.m. anyway. But
yeah,
I mean, you need that. But no. Here's the thing: the Caitlin Clark thing, as far as a team, worries me in a certain way. Don't get that wrong. Love Caitlin. Love her.
Right.
Great game. But it worries me because they're 8-3 in their last 11 and lost a couple of unnecessary ones. And it's like I feel like those records. They're not affecting Caitlin. She's still averaging 32 a game. It's not affecting her. It's the team. It feels like at moments kind of play NBA and stand around and watch her. It feels like they're not moving in and getting it. You got to remember, it's not like she can't pass.
Oh, you mean like the 0-1 finals, Allen Iverson against the Lakers when the rest of the Sixers sit around and watch them play?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like the thing is, she has the 7 triple doubles this year. It's ain't like she can't pass. It's like feels like they don't move to be able to watch her. And they've lost some games they didn't need to. And when you get to the tournament, you only have one chance.
Yeah.
Like as far as that, you have one chance to lose. They have the team to win it, but they've got to. She may not. I don't know what they do if she has to do all the scoring. That's my point, especially with after they watched her records. I worry about that.
Scott, I'm sorry, just real quick to his point. I was just thinking about that before I came on live with you guys. Is you know what? She right now is looking like a one-woman team, but when they get to the tournament, and Scott, you know this more than anybody else. You get there. She's breaking these records and everything. They're gonna get to the tournament. You're gonna run into a Stanford. They're gonna run into a Texas. They're gonna run into an Oklahoma. They're gonna run into a South Carolina. And what has to happen is what Jacob said. They can't stand around and watch 22 play ball. Okay, right. Caitlin Clark. Let's face it. Not all of them are gonna go in, right? But someone needs to be around to come down with the ball and put it back up for a second chance points, instead of just giving up a rebound. Because if you keep it close, and that's scary, if you keep it close, they got a chance of dropping out. They made it all the way to the next title game last year. They lost to the better team, but notice, they lost to the better team, Yeah. But Caitlin Clark, all this is well for her, and I'm happy for her. But you and I, all three of us know what this narrative is going to turn into. She has to leave college with that hardware. She has to leave with the ring. And if she doesn't, that's going to get talked about.
Yeah. All right, let me give clarification on that broadcaster. What was so nice about Corey, Coreyglor, so Glor. And what was so nice about this kid is the fact that he was able to do this interview about an hour before he went on the air because he's a radio broadcaster. So you want to talk about a classy human being. Corey Glor is definitely that. And that's what triggered the Caitlin Clark discussion, which, in my opinion, I brought up Pete Maravich because I'm very well aware of the fact that he's from that area. And when once before there was a Utah Jazz, there was a New Orleans Jazz. Right. So you couldn't, unfortunately, Maravich couldn't save that. I don't want to get too far off base, but I'm glad that we were able to go ahead and mix the two and combine them all.
Ticket price is $4.59. Iowa game today. Highest ticket $59.56. That tells you how much of a star she is.
Well, she's also 19 points away from breaking the D1 record, which she'll likely get. So, yeah, they're going to jack the price up. One question, Scott, you interviewed Pistol Pete one time, didn't you?
No, I never did.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
I wish I would have. Boy, that would have been. But, here's an irony about Pistol Pete, though. Well, after his college career and pro career, he ended up being a color analyst for the University of South Florida Bulls for a year or two, believe it or not. He spent time in Tampa. So interesting point. All right, next topic to get to, one that I actually got from our website. At least 2 were wounded in a shooting outside high school basketball game near Kansas City at North Kansas City High School. Well, how many times we ended up talking about this on Pundits Point, but yet again, it happened again. All right, Jacob, we different show, same thing, social media, gun control. What is it this time?
It's never gonna. That ain't gonna work because for one thing, there's 270 million guns in the country. You're not gonna pull them all. It won't. There's too many. So we gotta forget, huh?
Not realistically, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you're not gonna pull them all. See, what we have an issue with. I'm writing another column for the thing pretty soon, and you guys will see it. But the basic idea is there was once upon a time where we didn't have these type of things. But you know what we also had? We also had a bunch of people willing to, funny-wise, talk trash to each other and give it back. It's not the over-offended. So now when we don't have that, we're angry all the time. All the time. And it's like, and say that you hypothetically did pull the guns, someone else is going to get beaten down with, they're going to stab with knives or get beat down with something. There's anger. It's an anger issue we have to hit. We have to find where that is because it's just anger. It's ugly. And it's like, and it's one of these things where really by themselves, someone's going to find that way to be. The mental health issues and miserable. We have a mental health problem, and you got to remember the NFL's trying to get this. That's why I believe they want Caleb as high as possible. They will use him as a mental health initiative. The NFL will, because he's talked about his. They already do Dak Prescott for that. Mm-hmm. The sports want these types right now, and it's like. And then be truthful, we need the health initiatives, mental health initiatives. We do. That it's like, it's one of these things by itself. We need to get to the thing. It's not the weapon because you can find a billion weapons. People will fight. How many times do you go on TikTok and find the fighters? People fisting and throwing fists at each other on TikTok all the time. You have to get away from it. It's pure anger. It is. You see it on our reality shows. Pure anger. There's the first step because we had guns growing up. When I was a kid, you had a kid with a gun in the back of a gun rack on a truck. No one checked it. We also didn't have those either. We have anger problems horribly right now. It's just the thing. We also didn't have a thing either. We have to look toward that first.
So you're telling me, if I hear you correctly, okay, that a lot of these incidents continue because of anger.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Leave it there. Mm-hmm. Denzel.
Didn't get a chance to dive too much into this. I have to look it up a little further and then maybe make a pundit point on Pundit's Point once I find out further. But to Jacob's point, he's right. It is about anger. But the root of that, in my opinion, is pride. People don't like to be embarrassed. And I get it. Who does, right? It's just nowadays they're taking it to a little bit more extreme. Now, it's anyone's guess what the motive was. All I know is this is the second known shooting in Kansas City in a matter of 2 weeks, and so they said the one at the parade stemmed from a dispute. I am throwing a flag on that one. I mean, 22 people got hit and out of a dispute. Yeah. I'm having a hard time believing that one, Scott. You know what I mean? But
I'm with you there. I have a hard time with a dispute when you have 22 people shot at. They got to do better than that, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I get it. One is one too many, right? But with that being said, I mean, you got 22 over here, and then you got two of them that was shot at this one. Yeah, this is a deep problem that needs addressed. I mean. You have how much did you say, Jacob? 270 million guns nationwide. Yeah. That's 380 million people in the United States. That's almost one gun per person. Keep in mind, you got some that have zero and some that have a freaking armory. A couple of handguns here, a couple of assault rifles and everything. So and it's like you get and I'll say the same thing that I've said, and Jacob, you've heard me say this too. Okay. I'm a veteran. A lot of us veterans are 2A supporters, okay? Yeah. But two things can be true. You can be a 2A supporter and not feel like going to shoot up like a Walmart. You know what I mean? Like, we're not monsters, all right? Yeah. We're 2A supporters for the right reasons, But apparently, and I'll wrap this up with this, you have people who are 2A supporters for the wrong reasons.
Oh, God.
Their own selfish reasons, anger issues, pride, mental health crisis, whatever it could be. But it's definitely a problem that needs addressed. You mentioned Dak Prescott. He had a brother that self-deleted himself, didn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that could be a little bit of motivation to be a spokesperson for something like that. And that's my take. Scott, go ahead.
Yeah, you know what?
Lack of
You
respect
see
for others.
yourself second type situation in the metropolitan Kansas City area in a couple of weeks. And again, we're talking about a high school basketball game this time.
Yeah.
Really high school basketball game, and we have 2 people wounded outside of a high school. Let's not kid ourselves, okay? I live in an area where Marjorie Stoneman Douglas had one of the biggest tragedies in the history of mass shootings high school wise. It's just, I think the only thing I could say that could add a little to it is social media is not helping matters at all.
Well, Denzel, another thing you said about the 22, you're correct. You're correct, Denzel, about that whole thing. It's like it is a little bit suspicious, but think about this too. How many people that have guns don't really know how to shoot? I mean, it's like they can spray those stupid things around. They don't. They're just wild. Remember, they're angry, pride, that sort of thing. How many would, if it would be 22, hypothetical, and it wouldn't be, and if it would be, it was a dispute. Idiots. It's like idiots that don't know how to fight. You know, they just swing. They just swing. There'd be people just shooting over. Someone's going to get hit in that many people. But truthfully, I remember this church in Texas that someone wanted to do a mass shooting. Here comes a gun instructor. Bing, two in the forehead, gone.
Yeah.
And then stopped, put it in, sat down.
Literally.
So
let me explain something to you. What you're saying is all well and good, gun instructor, all that, Jacob. And yet we can't lose sight of the fact, but yet we have no choice. It's part of the reality is the more you hear things on social media, then to me, that's like one of those snowballs that continues to build and build and build. Goes downhill. Okay. You hear it once, twice, and all of a sudden it becomes a problem. And that's what social media has done.
Yeah.
You know, it's a 24-hour news cycle, and you can hear that things get you within seconds as soon as they happen. Back when I talked about old school versus new school media, you know, once you did your newspaper thing, you didn't hear it till the next morning or whatever. And I'll get to my book a little bit. But it's, again, the 24-hour news cycle, social media, and you got it all over the place. So,
yeah. Social media, I agree, is I agree to a certain extent is not helping matters at all. Right. Me, I've always been a believer in social media is just a tool. That's it. Like you look at a gun, right? Without an operator, it's a glorified paperweight, you know?
Yeah.
And then think about why social media was even created, was to keep up with like old friends that you might have went to high school with and all the other stuff, you know? I mean, is social media like, you know, fuel for the fire? I can agree with that, absolutely. But also keep in mind, Columbine happened with zero social media. The sniper at the University of Texas, I know you're old enough to remember that, Scott.
Oh, yeah.
That was with zero social media. I think crazy people have been in existence way before social media and didn't need a computer or anything like that. I don't know if you recall back in, I think it was 1983 or 86, there was a mass shooter at a school in California. I'm trying to remember the name of that school, Cleveland Elementary School, something like that. But the victims were Asian immigrants or something like that. But yeah, and the guy that did it was some grifter. You know, didn't need social media, came from a troubled background and everything. So, I mean, the signs are there, you know, like every other shooter, it's like they came from some type of troubled background or anything like that. All the signs are there. All I'm saying is this. You can lend social media a little bit of blame. That's cool, you know, but I wouldn't throw too much stock into it because people have been nutso long before a computer or cell phones.
Well, that's an excellent point. Yeah, I'm not going to sit here and blame social media for everything. No way. So all social media is nothing more than just a messenger. Only a big. Why do you think we send all these astronauts up to space and drop satellites? Where do you think all this stuff came from, anyways? Right? We're dropping satellites all over the place. So yeah, I'm not going to blame social media. Listen, the internet person in this world that hadn't benefited from it either. Without social media, without the internet, I wouldn't have you guys on this very show, Professor and the People, in the first place.
There you go.
The shows
yeah, exactly.
But the reality is, I mean, it comes up with ideas for us to talk about without a doubt. But still, I mean, but it does factor into the fact that if you hear it one place, somebody's going to think about it. I'm going to do it too, you know, and that sort of thing. But no, I'm not going to blame it all on social media. That would be premature. It's just unfortunate, like you mentioned earlier, Denzel, that This is the second incident that's happened in the metropolitan Kansas City area in a matter of weeks. And now we're talking a high school basketball game outside of North Kansas City High School. I mean, it just absolutely stinks. So, Candy, why don't you put your comment in there as well, and then Jacob can read it.
That's it right there. That's it.
The Cleveland Elementary School shooting, the Stockton schoolyard shooting, and Cleveland School massacre occurred on January 17th, 1989 at Cleveland Elementary School in Stockton, California, when 24-year-old Patrick Purdy, who had an extended criminal history, shot and killed 5 students and wounded 32 others.
Yeah, wow. He was a grifter, again, that came from a troubled background. As a matter of fact, the Janet Jackson song "Living in the World We Didn't Make" off of her 1989 album Rhythm Nation, that song is about that incident.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay. All right. Well, we'll leave it on that note. Let's go to a feel-good story for the next topic. Anyways, we talked about it, I believe, on Pundit Sports Exchange, but nevertheless, I'm bringing it up again. But this one has a bit of an update to it. Kyle Filipowski scored 21 points, and number 10 Duke shot 59% before halftime to build a huge lead on the way to beating Virginia 73-48 Saturday night. And we all know that Kyle Filipowski was a guy that was injured because of court storming. Well, we don't have to spend a long time on this one. And I'll lead off with this. I'm just glad that Kyle Filipowski is all right. He's playing good basketball, and that court storming will not prevent him from playing postseason basketball. So that's why this is in here today. It's an update on Kyle Filipowski, but they still need to address court storming. And now let's just look at social media and another facet. Okay, if there's enough social media that will talk about it, maybe it will lead to solutions to get rid of this problem. That's all I have to say on the subject. Denzel Snipes, you're going to take over after I'm done, which is now.
All right. And we actually talked about this on the Sideline Sports Show just last week. And the panel was kind of split because on one end of the spectrum, it's like, well, what can you do to control it? Do you usher the athletes off the court and then let the fans on? Or, the thing that they're going to look at is it's tradition. And I get it. Not all traditions are good traditions, but that's the thing they're going to look at. It's been a time-honored tradition for generations on generations on generations. And they may look at times in the past and say, well, it's few and far in between that someone got hurt. And they'll also look at the result too. They'll look at the result because he didn't tear his ACL and was out for the season. Did he miss a game? I don't think so. He came back. He scored. He put up the stat line that he did. They'll look at it as, or at least someone will look at it as, well, he wasn't out for the season. But someone also could look at it as, yeah, but look at what could have happened. So I'm understanding on both sides. I'm kind of on the fence about it. We've all have come up and seen court storming after a huge victory. Didn't they storm the court over at South Florida after the win last week? Scott, they stormed the court, didn't they?
I don't remember now that I think about it.
I think they did.
Actually, you know what? If they did, here's what happened. I usually leave a little bit earlier to try to get to the media room. So if they did, I probably didn't see it.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay, yeah, because I remember you saying that
you avoid a lot of the crowds that most people would.
Oh, okay.
The one thing you learn about in this industry, Denzel and Jacob, is sometimes if you know that the place is busy, you want to try to get to where you, in an effort to avoid crowds, and that's usually what I tend to do. So if there was some excitement against FAU, now who's to say it probably didn't happen the other night? I don't know. Bear in mind, though, USF did go ahead and clinch their first ever American Athletic Conference title, which is unbelievable. Now, Candy's going to clarify. They tried, to control, but FAU did get off.
I thought so. I wasn't seeing things. All right,
Candy
that's my takeaway.
Right, she was there taking pictures. Thanks, Candy, for clarifying that. I got it to the media room as quick as I can. That's why I wasn't able to give you a specific answer. So, they got to get it under control. But in the case of this, I'm just glad that Kyle Filipowski is able to play, and Duke isn't missing one of their key players. That's all, and that's all. All right, Jacob, some thoughts, or Denzel, were you done first?
I was done. You got it.
Okay, over to Jacob.
Yeah, it gives the Duke haters a weapon because it's like they're going to say he faked it and all that kind of stuff to get, because a lot of people just hate Duke. People have never understood growing up why I liked Duke. It was because we didn't have any. Duke was on the most, and we didn't have any cable. So I like that thing. I didn't understand, but people hate Duke. And it's like, so you're going to have that weapon. But my biggest thing, I brought it up on Pundit. You know, the Sports Exchange. I brought it up on that. My main issue with the court stormers, because I was part of one once, so I can't totally hate. I said on Twitter, I was mad, or X, I was mad at it, so I wanted to be able to say and everything like that. But my issue with the court stormers is not necessarily the court storming because you want to celebrate. It's the fact that you see any part of sports and you watch old games and the excitement was just more because there was no phone. You had your memory. And now people do court storming. They're doing this all the time. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. They're doing all this all the time. No one pays attention. I mean, Caitlin Clark's already been bopped in the nose. She's already been bopped in the nose by some idiot that had to do that, you know, with their elbow up. And it's like people can't celebrate without that thing. And you're right. It's a useful tool. We have to all have it now, especially when we're doing. It's like I have to have it. The emails, everything's going there. But every once in a blue moon, one thing I love about my gray hair is we remember when we didn't have it. And we could go court storm, but when we don't have that thing in our hands, we could also see where we're going.
Right.
We could see where we're going. We're not bopping into people. We could see Kyle Filipowski's there, and Kyle Filipowski's there, and gunning on something. Get out of his way. You know, it's like Boston when they won the '84 title. They could all do that thing. Bird could get out of the way. If there was phones right there, they would have probably busted his knee up because they wouldn't see where they're going.
Yeah.
That's where my issue with the court storming is people can't. They have to have it 24/7. I have to have mine, but I can also pay attention. I can. And I sure as heck would not want that thing in my hand if I was doing that because I'd lose it in that pile.
Well, the only thing I'll say about court storming, I don't like it. They've got to stop this thing. They really, really do. I think the universities have to get under control. They have to beef up security, police officers, whatever. Because in the end, okay, think of all the insurance claims, number one, that you could be getting hit with if there are incidents there. Now, I don't know what you have to sign or part of a ticket, but what about the students, for crying out loud? These students, whether it's court storming the field, whatever, this has got to stop. It really, really does. Yeah. You know, and until it does, you know, Duke just was fortunate that this kid didn't get seriously hurt. But who's to say another one won't? And then what? Then it gets uglier than it already is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
that's true.
You know, I've always been strong. I understand the traditions, but some traditions are okay to be broken. They really are. And this is one of them that needs to go away as soon as possible. All right. Final thing we're going to talk about is Russell Westbrook, age 35. Why do I mention he's age 35? Suffered a hand fracture, a broken left hand in the first half of Friday's 140-115 win over the Washington Wizards. In that game, he had 6 points and an assist. I'll lead off of this, okay? I've always liked Russell Westbrook. The guy's gotten a raw deal everywhere he's gone. I think he works hard. He's passionate. He's a good soldier. He doesn't get into trouble. And you know what? I hope he recovers soon. He's in a situation where he can win with the Clippers. They're playing great basketball. I just hope the guy comes back and is able to play in the postseason and do some good things with the Clippers. He took a team-friendly deal this year to come back, and so far it doesn't seem to be working out. So, Russell, get well soon. That's all I can say. Denzel, so talk about Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the hardest working guys in basketball for a very long time, since his days with Oklahoma City. And it's unfortunate he suffered this injury. It's really great that he took a team-friendly deal to, remain with the Clippers. He's reunited again with James Harden, and they're actually making it work. I know y'all two ain't fans of him, but there's been no issues. Probably because PG-13 and Kawhi have been kind of taking the low, but that's neither here nor there. They're playing great basketball. They are, and I hope that he can come back. Did they say how long he was going to be out for, Scott? I haven't
heard yet. I'm sure the coach Tyler Lue will let us know. And keep in mind, Denzel, next year if they bring the band back together, they got a brand new stadium right across the street from Life SoFi, near the Forum.
Yes,
and I hear this place is absolutely gorgeous. So, oh my gosh, this new stadium, I think they call it the Intuit Dome. Somebody had good intuition when they created this thing, but pun intended there. not pundits pun intended. Oh, having fun. I've had my fair share of caffeine.
Ding.
Yeah, I got up at 1 o'clock in the morning. Can you imagine how I'm bouncing off the walls? But anyways, yeah, no. As far as to answer your question, Denzel, no update on the time frame that he's gone. But again, the Clippers have some depth, and you need to keep Kawhi healthy. Martin Harden has to keep his mouth shut, and Paul George to see what's what. I don't know if we're searching for miracles somewhere, but yes, Denzel, you're right that Westbrook and Harden are making it work. And don't underestimate Tyronn Lue as a coach.
That's a coach.
And you guys want to add to that?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I'm just saying this. You're saying, well, he has a chance to win a title. It's James Harden there, so they're not going to win a title. But, I mean, the thing about this, it's the biggest thing about it, and I'm going to keep saying it, pal, because it's true. But the big thing about it, though, is as far as Westbrook, I feel for him because he does bust his absolute tail. He really does. And it's like, I mean, got to remember, he's one of only two to average a triple-double, and he's done it twice.
Right.
Yep.
So, I mean, he's really got the skills of this. But you know where it affects me right now is I'm doing my one and only basketball fantasy, and he was on my deal, and it's like I'm first place right now, and I had to get rid of him. So it's hard. But really, though, I hope he gets himself on a team, gets himself on a team that really before he retires. I really do, because this is a guy that really deserves it, and it's like I want to see him with somebody that's actually going to win something, get him on a team that built it. It's not going to be on this one as long as you know who's there. But if he can get himself on a team before he goes, we can have a Kevin Willis, only better.
Yeah, Russell Westbrook has been the ultimate scapegoat everywhere he goes. And that's just a shame, too. The guy, to me, I'll say this. We did have a show, Basketball, recently. And the thing I'm going to say about it is this kid can play in any era. If for no other reason, his work ethic and his attitude could qualify for what we call the Basketball area. All right, so let's go to the update, Candy. Put it up there so Denzel can read it so he knows now.
There's no timetable for Westbrook's return. If he were to undergo surgery, it's likely he would miss at least a significant portion of the remaining 24 games of the Clippers regular season. Okay. Yeah,
and really, and that's a tough loss that he's playing. He's really as part of the team. Everything, the team itself's playing well. It's always going to be in the regular season, but you can't lose, especially with the reason I gave. You can't lose anyone. Right. You can't lose anyone on this team and stuff like that. That's a tough part. But the biggest thing about it really is we're past the trade deadline now, aren't we?
Yes.
Right. That's tough. That's tough because if you would have had it in game like 40 games left, 45. You could have gotten somebody to replace that.
Well, but right now, though, Jacob, there are players you can get because of contract buyouts. So
that's true, yeah.
Anybody.
Yeah.
And I don't see anybody in the CBA making the impact that he has. So we'll have to see how it plays out. Hello, Ralph Williams. Good to hear from you this morning. So, yeah, Russell Westbrook, to me, could play in any era. Again, career triple-double, you just said, right? Is that correct?
Yeah.
And the fact that he plays so hard, plays defense, does whatever he's told to do. It's not a problem off the court, which there are a lot of players that aren't, but there are a lot that are. He doesn't care about load management. He just gives it his all the time, 110%. I hope he recovers quickly and can have some success. And like you, Jacob, I hope he lands in a spot where he's appreciated and ultimately has a chance to win a championship ring. Yeah. There's two guys I'm really rooting for to win championship rings, Chris Paul and Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
Yep.
Both of those guys, to me, I hope win championship rings. And if Charles Barkley didn't have Michael Jordan to go through, he would have won one. And I love Charles Barkley. And you know that book called Lessons from the Microphone? I have a photo of Charles Barkley in it, and I'm going to get to that in a moment. So,
yeah.
All you guys said on Russell Westbrook? Anything that you guys want to add before we
go? I like the guy. I wish him well on something like that. That's tough. And he is getting. And I can't believe he's 35. It just shows our gray hairs are coming faster. Because that almost feels like yesterday I remember his rookie.
He's 35 in that kind of shape. My goodness, more power to him. Russell Westbrook. Well kidding. All right, let me go over some other company information. Our website is www.southfloridatribune.com, Twitter/X @Tribune South. Candy Ebling is behind the scenes in the chat room today and working on the website, the Jack of all trades. She'll be working on a lot of other things after she's off camera. I should also talk about the fact that Fire Up will be on later on with Candy Ebling and Jeremy Ballrick on the South Florida Tribune Broadcasting Network. I have a book out there. You've seen it all. It's our background now as well. Is in the right corner, called Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. Can be purchased on Kindle and Amazon. So it talks about old school media versus new school media. It's a book that I wrote here where whether you're just getting into the business, where I provide you pointers on how to become a good podcaster or journalistic ethics. And Jacob and I and Denzel, one of my favorite people in it is Frank Reynolds, talks about getting it right. Or you talk about somebody that just wants to know what the media used to be about. It's a good read for everybody. So I hope everybody will go out there. And everything that I've mentioned here as well, if you're watching on YouTube or any of the other ones, like I told you, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube, you can see that on our ticker at the bottom as well. So, feel free to look us up, and everything's on the South Florida Tribune as well, .com, that Candy is a mastermind behind. With that said, Denzel, why don't you go ahead and let everybody know how they can get a hold of you?
All right, Denzel Sniper 13 on Twitch, Denzel Snipes on Facebook, Denzel Snipes 13 on YouTube, and Nellynell 13 on Twitter /X, NELLI13.
All
right, Jacob, go ahead. I'm not worried about the grocery list today.
It's Jake the Pundit on Twitter X, Jake the Pundit 1 on TikTok. Let's see, I also write on Ricochet Substack on South Florida Tribune and Sideline Sports, and do a couple other things along the way.
Well done. Jacob and Denzel are my two partners in crime. We do a lot of stuff together anyways, and this is a show that the three of us definitely know we can call our own, and we do that. I enjoy working with these guys. They really are, to me, the heart and soul of Sideline Sports and the South Florida Tribune Broadcasting Network. And, again, we did some pretty good stuff on Basketballs before. I don't know if we'll bring that show back or some version of it or another one. But right now, all basketball subjects are being talked about here on The Professor and the Pupil. And the reason I came up with Professor and the Pupil is I'm the elder statesman of practically anybody that I bring on this show, on this network anyway. So hope everybody enjoyed today's edition of The Professor and the Pupil. So on behalf of Jacob Christner, Denzel Snipes, my name is Scott Morgan, off the Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us. Fire Up will be on later on with Jeremy Ballrick and Candy Ebling. We thank you for joining us. And we stay tuned for our programming as we put it on social media. I'm working on finalizing some shows, so I'll put them out there. So thank you very much for joining us, everybody. Have yourself a great rest of Sunday. Good afternoon, everybody. Bye now.